Hey, blessings, and thank you for tuning in to our YouTube channel. We ask that you subscribe, like, and hit on the notification buttons to see more videos like this. Because there are no true, if you want to say, black leaders out there anymore, you know, and most of the ones that are true leaders, we see what happened to them over history. We've seen what have happened to those that really wanted to make a change in our community. You know, of course, they killed their image, they killed their reputation. They defamed them in many ways possible, and they just destroyed them. And you find those ones today that's supposed to be working for us in our community, and we have to question it. You know, that's why the word conscience was brought up.
Yeah, because and this is not about politics, but we're talking about it because of these laws in Florida. Mm-hmm. I always say, and they do understand, all politics is local. Politics is about what can I get from me in exchange for you, but you can't put your whole faith in it. If I want you to make sure that the garbage is taken out on my street and you doing that, that's great. Right. But when you're doing something that I'm not, but if you're gonna hurt the children, black children in my community, I have a problem with it. That's where it stops, and we have to be able to draw that line and say, I don't care that yes, maybe you did rebuild the park. But if you're going to kill me in the park, I can't support you in that. I can support you in putting money in the park. But I'm going to say this because I know it's a very hot button issue. We talk about abortion. Most black people are conservative and don't believe in abortion. Right. But they make it a political term now. But you got to be careful on jumping on the bandwagon. And some people they go like this. You can't jump on the bandwagon with those who say that they are against abortion, and they say they pro-life. But here's what you got: those same people, they don't care about the life of a young black youth. If you believe in life, then why is it that you can shoot down my son, the young black teenager, and hold yourself not guilty? Mm-hmm. So it's politics. Right. It's not about life. They have an agenda. Don't get caught into agenda. No, I don't believe in murdering babies. But why do you? Okay. So why do you murder a 6-year-old? Hold yourself not guilty. Why do you murder a 12-year-old? Hold yourself not guilty. Why do you murder a 16-year-old and there's no consequences? They're not concerned about life. That's strictly about politics. And we can't get drawn into that. We have to look at how does this affect us as a people? And then we can expand. We can have that conversation, but I can't get into bed with you. And I can't get into bed with you on the other side because you're doing things that improper, but when you're not, that's when you have to be able to draw a line, and it's not about politics, it's about doing what's right.
Yeah, what's morally right. And that's when I talk about the soul of an individual, or the soul of the nation. You know, we all can have a different perspective when it comes to that, but there is a innate perspective of that, you know, when it comes to us, our natural state as beings, as human beings. But today they also have a new word that they have implemented, which is called woke. Now I'm gonna share a quick clip, and I want to come back and I want to kind of break this down.
We're living in a time where we're more divided than ever, and we need a common vocabulary to talk about those differences. But that can be hard when we're not on the same page. It's why KPBS is launching a new series called Let's Talk About It, where we answer your questions. We start today with Mike Milton. He's a retired Navy man who identifies as white and a lefty.
Center left.
Politically speaking, that is. He says he pays attention to the news and current affairs. But lately, there's one word he's been hearing a lot of that's got him scratching his head. Woke.
I think it shows how wokeism destroys everything fun in our society.
It's a word he mostly hears used by conservative media, and he's not sure what it means.
One question I do have is, what is wokeness?
The truth is, the word woke has lived many lives and iterations.
Right around the early 1960s, 70s, when you had a lot of Black Power movements and kind of civil rights issues going on at that time. It wasn't called woke, it was called consciousness.
That's Dr. Demarie Smith. He's a professor of rhetoric and media studies at San Diego State University. He says the word stems from the civil rights era.
At that time, Black people particularly started thinking about what are the ways in which our government is not necessarily protecting us as citizens.
For him, the real meaning of being woke is about connecting the dots.
To me, means basically having a consciousness about some of the systemic issues that are taking place that have unintended consequences that kind of seem as though it may be a good thing. But again, there's things that we're not necessarily thinking about.
In other words, it really just means to think critically about issues that impact us all, like education, healthcare, and policing. The word woke, though, became more mainstream in 2015, with more and more people using it that didn't know the word's origin, says Smith.
The everyday white folks, as I would say, and they started kind of using that terminology about, oh, I'm woke, I'm white, but I'm woke, you know what I mean?
Which is when the word began to change and become less a way of thinking and more like a badge to signal to other people that you weren't racist.
Levi's heard that if you're not woke, it's bad.
Even Saturday Night Live got in on the joke, with its parody on a Levi's ad for woke jeans. Fast forward to today, where woke is being used by conservative media outlets to describe just about everything.
The mission statement of wokeism, of Marxism, of the BLM movement is to destroy the nuclear family.
Smith says he's not surprised to see woke take on yet another meaning.
Like all words, they can be weaponized.
In this current context, woke has become a catch-all for anything deemed progressive or inclusive.
And the problem when you hear woke is, I would say, at least for Fox News, they kind of see it as more like folks who have this like kind of socialist agenda where that at least that's their perspective. And so anything that they don't deem as correct, it's considered woke.
And that's how Mike Milton first heard of the word woke, light years away from its original meaning. So I called him back up and shared this story with him.
Educated me that it goes back not just to the, whatever that was, the 90s or early 2000s, but back to the 60s and early 70s, perhaps.
Dr. Demarie Smith anticipates we'll be hearing the word woke a lot this election season. It's why he wants us to question who's using the word woke and why, so we can push past buzzwords and have conversations about real issues. Christina Kim, KPBS News.
All right, so just a little brief on the word woke. Now, two other laws, like when we looking at the, and we're gonna talk a little bit about the book bans. We're gonna get a little bit into that. The Stop Woke Act that was also passed here in Florida, and as we can see, we can kind of get into a little dialogue to try to understand this word woke, and based off of not just what we heard, but just the understanding of the social events that are occurring right now in our society. What would you deem, that word woke to mean? What would be?
I think today it's being used, unfortunately, woke is being used to put people back to sleep. They're using the term to put people back to sleep and make you not conscious of your surroundings and what's being done to you or upon you. And you can say you're woke, you can say you woke, you can say you're against it. But if you're not conscious, you're missing the whole, I think they missed the whole point.
Right. And and audience and those that are listening, you can chime in on this, and we love to hear your comments, your perspective on this here. Do we have anything in the chat on that?
Yes, we have. One says, woke is the modern day word for undesirable / evil, or a person who is against the overall establishment.
See, we got different perspectives on the word woke.
I've heard people, for example, myself personally, I'm a plant-based vegan. I've heard people say when it comes to their diet, they woke because of their diet. So
Right.
so that's their definition of woke.
Right.
But it depends on the perspective of what, like the political agenda now. If people want to, I'm not afraid, they want to say, when they're talking about gays and homosexualities, if you're inclusive, you're woke.
Right.
And people on the other side saying, we don't want to deal with wokeism because you're trying to push your lifestyle. You're trying to push that on us. They've created that definition.
Right.
Or they've created that word and clumped it in, but they doing it with a political agenda versus because I know I woke up a long time ago and became conscious years before I heard the word woke.
Right.
So when I hear a lot of the young people saying woke, I'm like, are you really awake, or is it just it's a convenient term to use now for an agenda?
It's more of a what you call it, a fad. Like right now, and it's mostly young people, and I think it's because of how society has a way, or and I just go back to the conservative side of things, and nowadays our youth today, the generation now have came to a point, that's my thought and how I see it, that you're not going to tell me what to do. We can live our lives how we want to live our lives, and there's a group of them, that believe and think like this here. And when you have a group of individuals that can just motivate others that are thinking the same way that they're thinking, this camera do what it want to do.
Okay.
But when you have a group of people that
we have a smart camera.
Yeah, and it just let it do what it want to do. But no,
I thought you was woke, Brother Samuel, when you did that.
Hey, we put signals out there. The camera does what it do.
We got a woke camera.
Social media is one of the faculties, if you will, today that a lot of our youth are using it, and they're putting together groups that believe in a lot of the ideology that's being pushed in our society today. And when you have the youth that teaching the youth, it's kind of hard for you, even as a parent, to be able to to guide that youth or correct them, because they have information that they and if you think of it like this here, we had peers growing up. I remember, I don't care what my mother may have said or asked me to do, I want to be connected with my peers. I want to be doing certain things, Whatever she told me was old school stuff, that's old people stuff. I didn't want to be like, don't limit me to old people stuff. Although that's right what you're telling me. The bad thing about this society is, I think more so because of social media, they're creating this culture. And in this culture, we are acceptance in this culture. However you want to be, however you perceive to be, this culture, we're going to change some things. And that's what I'm seeing based off of what I see. I'm seeing a change, but I'm seeing it happen amongst this generation and the youth doing a lot of this here. And
Change can be good if it's in a positive direction. See, and you make a good point about age differences, because if you take a group, say high school or college students that are young, especially if they're of color, Black, African American, when they're talking about woke and they're talking about things that's going on, they don't realize that some of us, when we talk about being woke, it was, see, this high school that you're in and the college that you're attending, we weren't afforded that. We could not go there. Those doors were closed to us, and it was a system of oppression that caused it. And we had to, in some cases, give up our lives so that you would have that opportunity. Yet, so we don't want you, now that you can get into that door, to forget, because the same system that created it, it can be recreated again if you're not careful how you perceive or how you move forward.